If we could, we will call the meeting to order. I would like to welcome everyone to this, the May 25th, 2021 regular meeting of the Barefoot Bay Recreation District Board of Trustees. We had a workshop this morning, so we've been very busy, and now we're back at the main meeting tonight. To begin the meeting, we will start, as we usually do, with our thought for the day or a moment of silence. As we all know, Memorial Day is coming up. It's going to be a week of activities, and we will spend some time later on in the week and later on in the meeting remembering those who have fallen in the many wars of the United States. And so let's take just a few seconds right now to remember all of those people who gave their lives in service to our country. Mr. GRUNOW, you are the first commander, correct? Would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. Mr. GRUNOW, would you please do the roll call?
Mr. Loveland, absent. Mr. GRUNOW, present. Michael Morrissey. Mr. Nugent. Chairman MAINO.
Present.
We also have with us our community manager, John COFFEY, our district clerk, Stephanie Brown, our counsel, Cliff REPPERGER, and I saw Rich Armington from DOH and Human Resources. We have a quorum.
Thank you, sir. The agenda we have, we would look for additions and deletions, and I would like to add 2 items to the agenda. I would like to add item 9, I guess it would be C, 9C, resignation, Mr. Randy Loveland, trustee, effective May 25, 2021. And I would like to add agenda item 9D, direction to administration to advertise for trustee position and to fill the position on June 11. I would need a motion to put both of those items on the agenda. So moved by Mr. Nugent. Do we need a second? Mr. GRUNOW seconds. Any discussion about it? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Presentations and proclamations. If we could, I would like the trustees to join me at the podium, and I would like Mr. Jack Reddy to come up also, who is the second vice commander, I understand. Sorry, Jim, we should have done it up at the table.
That's okay.
Come on up alongside so she can get a good picture. This is a Barefoot Bay Recreation District proclamation. Whereas on Monday, May 31, 2021, in cities and towns throughout our nation, Americans will join together to honor the fallen heroes of our armed forces on Memorial Day. And whereas in May 1868, Major General John A. Logan called for a nationwide day of remembrance to pay tribute to those who gave their lives serving our country, which would officially be designated Memorial Day by Congress. And whereas over 1.6 million veterans of the United States Armed Forces currently reside in Florida, and whereas our men and women in uniform have sacrificed their lives to maintain the security of our great nation and the liberties we hold so dear, and whereas members of our armed forces continue to work towards peace and prosperity in the world, and whereas we must pledge to never forget the men and women of the armed forces who gave the ultimate sacrifice in defending our freedoms, we should express our gratitude to the families of our fallen warriors. We must keep faith with all those who have died for our country in the fight for permanent peace, and we must honor our unwavering commitment to all members of the armed forces. Now be it resolved by the Board of Trustees of Barefoot Bay Recreation District that Monday, May 31, 2021 is hereby proclaimed Memorial Day. That Monday, May 31, 2021, as Memorial Day in Barefoot Bay in recognition of all those who have made the ultimate sacrifice in service to our nation, and additionally ask all residents of Barefoot Bay to pause for a moment of silence at 3 p.m. on Monday, May 31, 2021. And finally, direct all national and state flags in Barefoot Bay to be lowered to half-staff from sunrise until noon on Monday, May 31, 2021, in memory of the fallen heroes of our armed forces, passed and adopted by the Board of Trustees of Barefoot Bay Recreation District this 25th of May, 2021. Mr. Reddy, I would present this proclamation to you. I would shake hands, but I can't.
Thank you. On behalf of Post 366, thank you to the Board of Trustees for your support of the veterans. Thank you again.
Thank you, sir. We will get this and get it back to you. Thank you.
Did you get a picture?
Oh, did you get the picture? You got them all? Here, we'll just make sure you're not standing behind me, guys.
I am.
Well, sure, great. I'll duck.
Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you.
Okay, on with business. Approval of the minutes. In your packets, you should have minutes dated May 14, 2021. Are there any corrections or additions or deletions to the minutes? Hearing none, the minutes will stand as they are. Is there a motion to accept the minutes as presented?
Move to accept.
Motion by Mr. Morrissey, Mr. Grunow seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Treasurer's report. Mr. Nugent, would you please read the Treasurer's report tonight? Can you do that?
Sure can. Total petty cash is $2,500. In our MB&T operating account is $530,028.81. Total operating accounts will be $530,028.81. Interest-bearing accounts in the MB&T money market account is $2,600,000. In the SBA reserve account is $699,513.38, for a total interest-bearing account of $3,299,513.38, leaving us total cash balance of $3,299,513.38. Total cash, just went over that. Daily deposits, $58,484.26. So that's the total deposits received, $58,484.26. Expenditures, over $5,000. Golf course and ball field maintenance, $44,886.02. Final payment for Pool 2 pit replacement, $36,010.88. Payroll taxes, which is the COVID credit, of $27,099.37. Net payroll for pay period ending May 9th is $60,751.01. Payroll taxes for the same pay period, $17,530.22. Total expenditures, $5,000 and above, $186,277.50. Expenditures under $5,000, $47,000, $886.56 for total expenditures of $234,164.06. I submit the treasurer's report.
Thank you, sir. I just want to make one correction, make sure that people understand the total cash balances in general fund was $3,832,4219. I'm not sure if I misread it or misheard it. You've heard the treasurer's report. Are there any questions or I'm sorry, are there any, have a motion to accept the treasurer's report and approve payment of bills as presented?
Move to accept treasurer report.
Mr. Grunow moved, seconded by Mr. Morrissey. Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Audience participation. I have only two here. We don't have any letters or phone calls. I have two here. The first one is Mr. Jack Reddy. And when you come up, please go to the podium, push the green button, and state your name and your address.
Jack Reddy, 806 Tamarind Circle. I was unable to attend the legal workshop this morning, but I have held a long-term belief that we can find a way to help our legal expenses by giving Mr. Armington some very good tools to enforce the DOR with some kind of a 90-day limitation. It is disturbing to me that we spend lots of money on these infractions, and then when we're ready to go to court and do something serious, the people come in here and beg for forgiveness to get their loans exonerated. That's not fair to the majority of people, and I strongly would urge the trustees to look at a detailed way of enforcing after a 90-day period so that these infractions get resolved and it will hopefully lower our legal cost. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, sir. We did have a very good meeting this morning. Asked a lot of questions and tried to get a little understanding on the way we do certain things, so I appreciate your comments. Next up is Nancy Isley. Oh, you don't have anything to say? Okay. Anyone else, please, for audience participation? If there is none, audience participation is closed. Agenda item 8, unfinished business to phase reopening discussion. Mr. Coffey.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, trustees, residents gathered here in home. Staff's recommendations for this meeting are threefold. One, return to the 2 rider per cart rule and removal of the COVID dividers effective Sunday, May 30th. Regarding assembly buildings and food and beverage buildings, return to 100% capacity effective July 1. This would provide the public with sufficient notification and allow the board to reverse this action in their June meetings if conditions warrant, and also cease the requirement for staff to wear facial coverings in food and beverage operations immediately. This would also entail a gradual return to indoor entertainment as demand warrants. A reminder, per the proposed budget, indoor entertainment going forward will be confined to Building A and the lounge only. Effectively, these recommendations would lift all the final restrictions effective July 1. Able to answer any questions the board may have.
Thank you, sir. Again, I guess we're getting at that point, so is there a motion to accept the recommendations of staff? Mr. Nugent makes a motion. Is there a second, please? Mr. Grunow seconds. Let's have some discussion. as I said, we're getting close to being completely, fully open now. It's time we do some of those things. Unfortunately and sadly, I think we still have to remember that that COVID is still there, and there are still some things you have to be careful about. It was so funny, since the mask thing kind of went away in the public, we went to Walmart this afternoon, and literally 80% of the people I saw in Walmart did not have a mask on today. And I understand they don't have to now, but it just surprised me that they just quit so quickly. So, comments, questions about the motion, please.
I just think we should be cautiously optimistic, open our buildings slowly, and I think the 1 month slack time is good. So I would take that proposal of John's.
Any other comments, questions? If none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. New business, DOR violations. Are we doing Rich?
I'll be there. Rich Armington, Resident Relations, HR Manager. The first violation was 20-2913, 641 Royal Turn. We posted the property on the 18th, and for the 6 days after that, the vehicle wasn't there. He called us this morning and said, yeah, okay, I won't put it here anymore. So I'm going to pull that one, but just by posting it and telling him we were going to take it to the board, brought him into compliance. So sometimes just by the threat of going to the board works. Sometimes it doesn't.
You know, we discussed that this morning, I mean, at length, that it goes so long sometime, and they know people push it right to the last second, and then, and as Cliff mentioned, sometimes we end up spending a lot of legal fees and things, and then all of a sudden they oblige and correct things. It's unfortunate it isn't done right away.
Well, and this one was good because we didn't have to give it to Cliff.
Right.
Not that I don't like you, Cliff. DOR violation 20-2666, 910 Cashew. First violation occurred 9/29/20. We've done 10 follow-ups. 11 pictures have been taken since the first violation. Staff has signed affidavit of notices and attached 3 pictures. Respondent has been notified by first-class mail, certified mail, and the property was posted on the 18th. Staff recommends the BOT refer this violation to General Counsel Reppinger for legal action, equitable, or other appropriate action with failure to comply. If the BOT brings any such action to enforce the DOR, the charge for such action shall be charged to the respondent's account and shall constitute as a lien.
Is there a motion to accept staff recommendation?
Move to accept.
Moved by Mr. Grunow. Is there a second, please? Second by Mr. Nugent. Discussion. Questions? How long has this one gone on, Rich?
I believe this is about 9, 10, probably 8 months,
8 months.
and we've got no response whatsoever.
Right.
None.
Any more discussion, questions?
Is this one of the cases where we can threaten to go to court but not have to go through the steps? In other words, something you talked about.
Our process at this point is, and this kind of plays into Mr. Reddy's comment a little bit. What we are doing at this point is when a case gets referred, we are drafting the complaint but sending a demand letter to the owner before we file suit. We are serving the demand letter as we would the lawsuit, even though the lawsuit is not filed, so the district doesn't incur the cost of filing the lawsuit. And we give the owner, I believe we're giving them 30 days to come into compliance after the letter. If that doesn't happen, then we file suit after that. So the complaint is all prepared, we're ready to go, but it's kind of like one last opportunity before we go to bring the property into compliance. And that has been an effective method to obtain compliance on many cases. So it doesn't work in them all, but it at least kind of cuts cost a little bit and helps us get compliance. So we will do that in this case as well.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Rich, the last one.
DOR violation 20-2026, 523 Puffin Drive. First violation occurred 7/28 of 20. We've done 12 follow-ups. We've taken 19 pictures since the first violation. Staff has signed affidavit of notices and attached 3 pictures. Respondent has been notified by first-class mail, certified mail, and the property has been posted. Staff recommends that the BOT refer this violation to General Counsel Reppinger for legal action, equitable, or other appropriate action with failure to comply. If the BOT brings any such action to enforce the DOR, the charge for such action shall be charged to the respondent's account and shall constitute as a lien.
Thank you, sir. Is there a motion to accept the recommendation of staff?
I would make that motion.
Mr. Nugent makes a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Grunow seconds. Discussion.
Can I just jump in for 1 second on
Yes,
your
sir.
discussion? I didn't hear the chairman do it. You may have done it. Can we just sound the room to see if there's anyone here to represent the respondent on
Oh,
this
I'm
case?
sorry. Are there any respondents to any of these cases here? I didn't think there was, no.
Yeah,
I appreciate that, Cliff. Thank you. Thank you. Questions, comments? No response at all on this?
Oh, yeah.
What, not,
Well, every time I post it, let's just say he's not very nice.
okay. Any other questions, comments? If none, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
This is, let's see, this 3 we've had now, we haven't had any for a while, have we?
Right.
Yeah.
These are the first 2 that we've had referred
Yeah.
in a few months.
Right. Thank you. Okay, next item, fiscal year 2022 proposed budget mail-out. Mr. Coffey.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. The policy manual requires the board to authorize a budget mail-out at this meeting. Previously to this meeting, for those just tuning in, the board has held a town hall meeting to solicit input from residents in January and have reviewed and modified the working draft proposed budget in 2 workshops and 2 board meetings. Currently, the budget as presented has approximately a $19,000 surplus with total revenues of $7,058,141. I won't go into the specific details. We've covered them in prior meetings. The board is welcome to make any changes, and we will modify the mail-out. If the board is happy with this mail-out, the one change I'll make before sending it to the printers is I'll take that $19,000 surplus and plug it in as a reserve account so it'll show up as a balanced budget. The board has the ability still to modify the budget before they adopt it on June 22nd, but this is the mail-out that goes to all property owners. Staff has solicited 3 different quotes, which had a wide range in cost. We propose that we'll go with Print Depot. That's the vendor we used last year. Just for edification of the audience, it's approximately $1,300 plus postage. So therefore, staff recommends the board approve the proposed mail-out as attached or modified, and announce that at 7 p.m. in Building D&E on June 22nd, 2021 as the date and time for the public hearing for the adoption of the annual assessment in addition to the adoption of the FY22 budget.
Thank you, sir. Is there a motion to accept staff's recommendation? Mr. Morrissey, motion. Second. Mr. Nugent, discussion.
Chairman MAINO, is this the spot we were talking about projects that extra funds could go to, and that's where you got talking about the lake banks, the
Yes,
hoods?
and you know, I told Mr. Coffey, you know, we're talking about the mail-out now, so remember the budget hearings we had and the discussions we had. You know, this is very, very simplistic. It is a very detailed budget, but it's very simplistic, and if people go through it, it's not that difficult to understand. You can see revenues, you can see expenditures, and even listing the kinds of things you're talking about here. One of the things good about the budget is that without going for that $1 million loan that's been discussed for the last couple of years, we're doing some other really good things because we raised that one-time social membership fee. The things you're talking about, the new coolers at the lounge and at the 19th hole, moving, or rather the lake bank restoration on the golf course, things like that. Those are all things we're doing without raising assessment, extra assessments to do them, or getting a loan. So it does include all those different kinds of items we talked about.
Is it too late to add an item?
I'm sorry?
Is it too late to add an item?
You can suggest anything you'd like, sir. Yes, sir.
I would like to consider putting AstroTurf down on the miniature golf course. I've had a lot of people say it's just too hard to play because it's concrete. And yet I think the miniature golf course would be a project that, if it had the appropriate turf, I think people would use it. But from what I've heard, most people go once and it's like,
Yeah.
so that would be my one project that would.
Any suggestions as to what something like that costs?
No, because we would recommend having a company come in and do that, because you're going to have a lot of seams, and a handful of people are very critical about paint bubbling. I would not want to subject my staff to
Right.
the criticism of seams coming up. We can research that. I think you're talking several $1,000s, because
I don't think we're talking over 20, are we?
no, I wouldn't think so. I have no idea at this point.
Again, it's one of those things. I agree with Mr. Grunow. I didn't think of it before. It is one of those things that I know a lot of people would be happy about and say, oh, they finally did this. They get, I would never have thought to bring it up to say they need it, but I know it would make a lot of people happy, just like resurfacing the tennis courts will make a lot of people happy, which we're going to do. So again, if there's not a problem, if we could add that to our items, and again, even if we're talking the $18,000 surplus, we'll find some money to do it. Is that appropriate?
If it suits the board, I could put that basically 19,000 number in as the carpeting.
Is that agreeable with the
miniature
board?
golf.
I agree with Jeff that if you do that, you're going to make a certain group of people happy. There's no question about that. Is it absolutely needed? I don't believe that, but you're going to make a lot of people happy. And I guess if that's something we can do and we've got some reserve money, I guess we should do that.
I mean, if you have families coming down, it's a good family place. It's an area that's no cost at this
Sure.
point in time. I think it would make people pretty happy.
So can we amend the motion to add, would you amend the motion to add that indoor-outdoor carpeting, whatever it is, to the miniature golf course as part of the budget? You made the you made the motion, Jim? Can you amend your motion? Who made the motion? Mr. Morrissey made the motion. Would you amend your motion to include the indoor-outdoor carpeting, AstroTurf, whatever, on the miniature golf course as part of the budget? Is there a second to that amendment? Okay. Appropriate, Cliff?
Yep.
Thank you, sir. Any other discussion? Again, with an item like that and the things we are doing that I guess people call shovel-ready, there are a number of things that are going to make improvements in the bay that aren't multi-million-dollar projects. And I think that is going to make a lot of people happy. I know it's going to make Kathy Mendez happy with the things we're doing at the lounge, the canopy we're going to put over. I know she's going to be happy with the coolers at both lounges and the new stove and the new hood at the 19th hole. They'll be able to make all kinds of meals there now, and it's not some little two-burner stove. So I applaud the staff for coming up with this mail-out. Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Passed. That's all we need on that, right? Okay, we go to item 9C, and I'll put it out, as you all know, to the Board of Trustees. Mr. Trustee Randy Loveland submitted his letter of resignation today. We're not going to make a big deal of this, as far as I don't need to. I would simply ask for a motion accepting Mr. Loveland's resignation effective May 25, 2021. Mr. Morrissey makes a motion. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Nugent. Discussion. No discussion. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Item 9D. I would like a motion directing the administrative staff to advertise, to immediately advertise for, so that we can fill the position of trustee. As Mr. Coffey and I, well, let me finish my recommendation, that we advertise to immediately seek applicants for the position, and that we fill the position on June 11, 2021. Well, first of all, I'll ask for a motion to accept that recommendation.
I'll make that motion.
Mr. Nugent makes it. Is there a second? Second, Mr. Grunow. Discussion. Let me add mine first. The idea is, as Mr. Coffey and I talked about a little bit, you know, we have some people who are probably interested in a board, and we want to get this position filled immediately so we can have a full board. We have things coming up. There's no sense spending a whole lot of time waiting for people to apply. If they're interested, people will submit applications to the board. Any other comments or questions? Yes, sir.
For a matter of clarification, because I assume this will be asked, is it your intent when the board selects the replacement on June 11th that that person is seated immediately or is seated at June 22nd?
Well, I checked the charter, and I thought the charter said it's the following meeting. Is that correct?
That is how the charter reads. So, I mean, I can pull it up real quick. I don't have it right up in front of me, but
Yeah, I would rather have the person there on the 11th, but after we discussed this afternoon, I looked and I thought the charter said it couldn't be till the following meeting.
if you hang on 10 seconds, I'll...
Chairman, that might be awkward. If, let's say, we have a couple people running, and then we hold discussion in front of them, I think it would be better to vote on the 11th, install on the Tuesday night following. I think it would be cleaner.
Just give me 1 second.
We've done both ways since I've been here. When Mr. Geyer was appointed, he was sworn in immediately and joined the board. What we did at that time was there were 2 people who put in letters of interest, and I basically gave them each an agenda packet and spent a couple hours with each of them prepping for that meeting, assuming one of them would be appointed. When you were appointed, Mr. Grunow, they waited until the next meeting, and then so we didn't prep you and the other potential candidates at that time.
Sorry.
I personally would like, am I on? I personally would like to get, I understand your point, but I personally would like to get the person on the 11th because I would like to have them here, even for the budget, final passage of the budget, et cetera, the week before, or the meeting before that. I'd also like to be 2 meetings with that person because I'm going to be gone in July for at least a meeting or so. And so I personally would just like to be at meetings with that person before I go.
Here's how the charter reads.
Okay.
I think it's in the rules, and I'll pull those up in 1 second, but the charter reads for vacancies. Any vacancy on the Board of Trustees shall be filled for the unexpired term by appointment by the remaining trustees of a successor from among the qualified electors of the district. That's all it says under the charter.
So it must be maybe in a board rules.
I'm going to look at the
something.
rules, and the rules I'm pulling up right now say... Give me 1 second. Here we go.
This is
It
called-
says this is section, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. Article 3, Section 4 of your rules. An interim replacement of a trustee shall be made by the remaining members of the board as provided for in Section 4, Article 5 of the Charter, and such selected member shall be seated at the next regular meeting. So that's what the rules say. So if you want to have that person sat at the meeting at the next meeting, you would have to make a motion and vote to suspend the application of your own rule to yourselves. That's the rule that you have, but it's not a charter requirement.
Okay. Well, how do you feel? I mean, I would rather get the person on right away. Jeff, I know you said, I understand it may be uncomfortable, but I guess somebody's going to put up with that. We spend a lot of uncomfortable time up here when we have things, so I don't know. Is it that important to put it off, our meeting, or should we do it on the 11th? 11th or the 22nd, it is, right? 22nd or 11th?
I don't know how much fuss there would be by some of the residents or whatever. I just like to keep things clean, and I think we could go one meeting and do it by the book.
I'm sorry, do it which way? So appoint on the 11th and not have them seated until the 22nd? Mr. Morrissey, Mr. Nugent, either opinions, either way?
I think it should be done right away.
Appointing on the 11th? Yeah. Mr. Nugent?
I tend to agree with Trustee GRUNOW, and that is it will give that period of time and opportunity for John to go through an intensive orientation with the individual, show them the budget, introduce them to the department managers. Cliff comes in and gives a nice presentation at orientation. That way they're not being thrown into a pack of wolves the same night.
Mm-hmm. Understand, sure. Okay, I don't want to make this controversial item, so I have no problem with that. I understand, Mr. Morrissey, I probably feel like you do, but we just want to get the person. I do for sure want to appoint the person on the 11th. No question about that. I don't want to wait. So we'll appoint the person on the 11th then, and we will seat the person at I believe it's a June 22nd meeting.
That's correct.
And we had a motion to that effect, didn't we, or did we not?
No, let me ask one more
We're just talking about it? What?
Let me ask one more question. Would it be possible, if you're that interested in getting them on by the 11th, to have a special Board of Trustee meeting prior to the 11th?
Well, that wouldn't give them much. It would not, we only got a couple of weeks where they have time to apply and decide where they want to go, and by the time we get this word out, it's going to take some time. So that would be rushing it a little bit. I believe we do have a motion, don't we, Steph?
We were just discussing that. We have a motion. It is Mr. Morrissey made a motion to direct administrative staff to advertise
And to appoint on the
immediately
11th.
work
Yes.
to seek applicants for the vacated position seat by June 11th.
Yeah, and to appoint on the 11th, and then the question was asked, should we have them seated on the 11th or not? So the motion is that we have them appointed on the 11th. And we don't have to change that, we're just going to follow the rules. Okay?
That's correct.
Yes, okay.
I was just going to say, I have to agree with Jim. I think this gives us a full 2 weeks to do a good vetting. Then it gives the board time to see what is recommended. And then that gives John a chance to train this person up so they do hit the ground running. So I agree with you on that.
So do we have to change the motion to signify that? No, we just have rules, so we're just going by the rules.
If you make your appointment on the
Sure.
11th, we'll follow the rules,
Follow
and they
the
will be
rules.
seated on the 22nd.
Okay, any other discussion? The motion is that we direct staff to advertise immediately for this vacant position, to seek applicants, and the board will appoint someone to fill Mr. Loveland's position at the June 11 meeting. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Manager's report.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. At the ARC meeting today, 23 consent permits were approved, 11 other permits were approved, 2 old permit extensions were approved. Next ARC meeting will be the 8th of June in the Administration Building Conference Room, 9 a.m. Next VC meeting is this Friday, 10 cases to be presented following Violations Committee meeting June 11th. Last reminder, beginning June 1st, residents will need a valid homeowner or renter's badge or guest pass to use facilities. please contact Administration Building if you need help in scheduling the renewal of your badge. Food and beverage news, special hours operations on Memorial Day, 19th hole. The bar will be open 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Kitchen is closed. $5 box lunches will be available. At the lounge, the bar will be open 11 to 9. The grill will be open noon to 6 because we are paying for a $61 a day special event permit to grill hamburgers and hot dogs in the screened areas. So enjoy it while we can. The Core will be playing on the Lakeside Lounge 2 to 6 p.m. Property Services has been busy as ever. Routine maintenance, special projects. One of the things not addressed in this that I had gave the board notice, we probably will be removing the one parking light as a precaution in the admin building parking lot, the Building A parking lot. There has been more loss of soil around that light. We're not sure of the extent, but just for safety's sake, we'll have that taken down in the next few weeks and then explore it further. Golf course, Ernie's seeking a second quote for the picnic area renovation, which I hope to have on the 11th agenda. Junior golf camp is coming up soon. The palm tree and other tree service update. The junior golfers will be very thankful for the 441 golf balls found in the palm trees. Sounds like some folks need to take Mr. Cruz and Bill up on some golf lessons if they're hitting shots that bad. Tournaments coming up, the John MacArthur Memorial Golf Tournament on June 19th. July 3rd is the 50th anniversary celebration, and the junior golf tournament is July 17th. Some general information. The vendor is in the process of mobilizing and putting supplies south of the shopping center in the field. We anticipate resolution to the restaurant exhaust fan issue by the end of next week. There's a little confusion between the owner of the company and the people they're sending out. Initially, the owner wanted to block off the south parking lot for the duration of the project. I won't repeat the words that I relayed to them, that wasn't going to happen. But yet today, someone had put caution tape blocking it off. So we will get that sorted out. Often the delivery person doesn't have the full understanding of projects by some vendors. Building A renovation project continues well. The HVAC system was fired up today. Nice and cool in the building. The walk-in cooler freezer and hood systems are substantially complete. The wall work is just about finished. Electrical home runs are being finished. The CCTV system relocation is mostly complete. And for folks in the audience, I have some pictures. I'll go through them real quick. Up in the upper right-hand corner is the 2 exhaust fans for the hood system, and in the lower left-hand is HVAC system. Next picture shows the hood system that spans the entire back wall of the kitchen. These long pipes here, that's the electrical runs throughout the kitchen. This is the old expediting area that you can see putting in the finished electrical runs. This is the site of that mysterious third hand sink that the state regulators demanded that we have, and these are shut-off panels for equipment. And this is the relocated CCTV system in the custodial area with a lockable cabinet so no mischievous staff or residents can go in and mess with the system in the future. Not that that would ever happen. And this is the walk-in cooler freezer. It's accessed by an interior wall. This is similar to what will go out the golf course side of the 19th hole that's in our current year budget. Up high are the refrigeration units, the compressors and stuff. And that concludes my report, Mr. Chairman.
John, how about the veterans
The kiosk?
Yeah. How is that coming? What is that?
I believe it has shipped or hasn't shipped yet. Okay. Yeah, it hasn't shipped yet, but Stephanie was showing me this morning before we started the workshop that they have loaded the software and she has access to that, and we were working on some tweaks to it. So we anticipate that to be wrapped up sometime in June.
Good. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Attorney's report, Mr. Reppinger.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think we covered most of it this morning, so I'm not going to go into great detail on any of the DOR cases. Just in follow-up to what we talked about this morning, understanding that there are two major issues that I'm working on that we want to try to complete ASAP. One of those being the beach restroom piling issue. We are drafting correspondence to county staff. I expect to be sending that correspondence to them this week, so they will be receiving that by the end of the week. And then it'll be up to them as far as how we proceed, but I think we'll be in good shape to be on a path to get it finally resolved. And then the ground lease issue with Stewart, that's about a week out from being done. So in terms of them getting the final draft, so that's where we're at on those issues. And hopefully by the time we next meet in June, we'll have some answers and direction on where we're going on both of those issues. So other than that, that's all I have.
Thank you, sir. And again, I think, we had a meeting this morning. It was quite a long meeting. But I thought it was a good meeting, and I hope everyone understands that when you don't understand things, you have to ask questions, and you have to look at budgets, and you have to not necessarily disagree with things, but you need to question things. So I thought it was a very good meeting this morning, and none of it is personal. As Cliff said this morning, that salary hasn't been raised in a long, long time, since 2006, I believe.
So I thought the meeting was very productive, and I thought it was very fair, and I also thought it was very diligent of you all. You all are the stewards of your community's finances, so you have every responsibility. Not only do you have the right to question it, you have a duty to question it. And so I have no problem whatsoever with.
And that's kind of what I was talking
issues.
to John about, is that I look at it the same thing, and I tried to say this morning, is that if you're going to sit on this board, you actually have a responsibility to say, I will ask a question if I don't understand or I don't agree. You just have to ask the question. And that, I think, is what we did this morning, and I appreciated everyone's comments and the work this morning. Trustee remarks, Mr. Grunow.
Well, my first is over to Jim. I was a bit of a skeptic at the last meeting about trimming the trees on the golf course. And having watched that project out my back window, first of all, I think the board got a heck of a good deal for $15,000. The trees are trimmed up real nice. I saw lots of debris being hauled out of there. So they look good. Maybe we don't have to do it next year, but I'm a believer now. Okay, and the second thing I have is next Monday is Memorial Day. We're going to have a golf cart parade as we've had in other years. It'll form up 10:30, step off at 10:45 at the tennis courts. In the past, we've had people decorate their golf carts and things like that. We will then move down Veterans Way. There's a natural oak amphitheater where we had the Veterans Day service. We got real positive comments on that last year, and we're going to have the service outside at 11. And then Kathy has arranged for hot dogs and light refreshments after the service. If there's any other organizations out there that want to be part of this, just shoot me an email off the BBORD page. We certainly don't want it to be American Legion only or VFW only. If there's any group that wants to do something, shoot me an email. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Morrissey? No comments. Mr. Nugent?
And thank you for your comments about the trees, but it's John who recommended the company that we used. And I think it was a great recommendation.
They really did a good job.
Thank you. Any other comments? I really have no other comments. Obviously, I spoke enough this morning and at length, so I have nothing more to say about things, but I do appreciate everyone's cooperation and work on this board, and I look forward to getting someone new to replace Mr. Loveland. I wish him well. I wish he and his family well, and I wish things go on, and I know he'll still be an active person in the community. So, again, good luck to him. That's it. I would I would look for a motion to adjourn. Mr. Grunow makes a motion to adjourn, meeting's adjourned. What's that? What did we do?
I forgot to tell you, Randy wanted his resignation letter read at the meeting. I think I conveniently forgot.
Yeah, it's okay. I don't want to read it.
Sorry, great.
Yeah, I'm not sure how to read it anyway, so.